Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, panel. Mr. Schiller, could you explain to us a little further how you determined the new price for Isopril and NitroPress?
Sure. After we signed the contract to purchase the assets, we re-engaged a pricing consultant that had been engaged previously by the prior owners. They made a presentation to a head of our neurology division where this product was going to sit. The conclusion was that given the reimbursements for the procedures where Isoprel was used, which were as high as $12,000 or $14,000 in some cases, that there was significant opportunity to increase the price of Isoprel without impacting or without making it unprofitable for the hospitals.
Excuse me, so why were cardiology drugs put with neurology?
It's I apologize. It's our neurology and other division. So it's our neurology and we have a number of other smaller therapeutic categories that are underneath that.
Now, both these drugs are generic, right? They've lost their patents.
They've lost their patents, but there is not generic competition.
Okay, so this isn't a drug that a patient can go to their doctor and say, hey, doc, I need some NitroPress, I need some Isopril. Is that correct?
It's in a hospital setting, part of a procedure, or in a clinic.
Right. So it's not the patient that's getting out their wallet and paying for this drug. They're actually in a hospital, and either their blood pressure is going through the roof, and the doctor has really no other choice but to use your drug. In several cases, this comes in a vial, right? And you raise the price of NitroPress 252%. Is that right? $257 for a 2-milliliter vial to $805.
Correct.
So if you're laying there in the ICU and your blood pressure is going sky high, the doctor doesn't ask you if you want to pay for this drug. He just has to use it. And whatever you charge the hospital for, they have to pay it, right?
That is correct. It is used in emergency situations.
And Isoprel, same way. It's not a pill. This is a vial. And you raise the price of that 525% from $215 to $1,346 a vial.
That is correct.
I mean, you don't ask the doctor, hey, I need some Isopril. You got an arrhythmia in your heart and things are going, circling the drain in a hurry, and the doctor doesn't have a choice. He's kind of over in a barrel because there's no other competition here. So he has to get that drug. He doesn't have another choice.
Well, there are substitutes, and the volumes have gone down over 30% since we acquired those drugs.
So you're saying that you raised one 212% and one 525%, but you've been so gracious as to drop the price 30%?
Well, we have gone to the hospitals that have the largest users, that have large cardiac departments, who would be the most impacted, to make sure that they're got a significant discount. I think also when you look at our overall portfolio, we've tried to address the issue of price by reducing the prices on our dermatology and ophthalmology products by 10% and by dramatically increasing the amount of patient.
Well, that's probably falling deaf ears. I did pick up something in your opening statement where you said the patient doesn't really pay this, so they don't really feel the sting. But I think anyone who's been a patient comes home from the hospital, they know they get a really big bill. And somewhere in that bill is Isoprel or NitroPress if it was used. And so the patient does end up paying for that drug in the end, correct?
It is paid as part of the procedure. So, I mean, somebody at the end pays it. I would add, though, that these types of transactions, Isoprel and NitroPress, in the past we have purchased some drugs like this where there was no generic competition. We raised the price, as you mentioned. We were too aggressive. And we are not
maybe way too aggressive.
We are not going to be looking for those kinds of acquisitions going forward.
Yeah. Mr. Ratzlaff, you also kind of did the same thing with your drug. It's a unique drug, and people don't have much of a choice. But in your opening statement, it sounded like maybe you were doing people a favor. You're giving it to them for a penny, or they're getting it free. You're making a lot of money. I mean, Mr. Shkreli wouldn't even answer a question. He was so ashamed of himself. And you're basically saying that you're doing these people a favor. You're knocking off their $10 copays and all that. But bottom line is your company made a heck of a lot of money on this drug, and there's only a handful of patients that need it. Don't you think that maybe you can do a little better?
We didn't make a lot of money on the drug, actually. I believe the committee has our financial statements. I don't want to share that information because it's confidential. But you will see that, touring is operating at a loss.
Okay, well, I just say, people are really hurting right now. They're seeing increased premiums, they're seeing increased deductibles, and, this type of thing doesn't help. It's like if one gas station has gas and all the other ones run out, that gas station can jack the price and people have to pay it, but they're not going to think much of that gas station. I think you guys are at risk of the same thing.
Yes.
Back.